Greetings, fellow sci-fi enthusiasts. I bid you welcome to my humble channel. Do be sure to shower this channel with love by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Comment, "I'm ready," if you'd face the blade, walk the canyon, and challenge everything you were taught. Solaria's verdant epidermis shone with perspiration as her knee dug into the Terran's ribcage, confining him to the scalding canyon floor. Her vibrant scarlet tresses, interwoven with the ossified relics of her fallen prey, danced like incandescent tendrils across her sharp, sculpted features. The ceremonial blade in her grasp, forged from celestial ore that heralded her forebears' dominion over this world, blazed crimson in the sunlight. Echoes resonated across the canyon walls. The human at her feet should have been a cacophony of screams, a symphony of pleas. Instead, a maddening serenity radiated from him. His rugged face was bisected by a grin, flashing teeth too brilliantly white for a veteran of the outer colonies. A crimson trickle painted a line from a wound above his eye, and his tactical vest bore the scars of their relentless pursuit across the unforgiving landscape. Yet his steely gray eyes held not a flicker of fear. "Any parting thoughts, human?" Solaria's voice was a low, menacing snarl, her alien accent adding a chilling edge. Jagged borders to the common tongue. The steel danced a hair's breadth from his windpipe. Resolute despite her thundering pulse, this act would reclaim her dignity. This act would solidify her place amongst the most elite trackers of her tribe. The man's smirk broadened. Yep. His tone was raspy, due to thirst, colored by a cadence she couldn't define. "You're off course." The statement slammed into her like a battering ram. Off course, she was Solaria of the Scarlet Pursuit, sculpted from infancy, in the 17 lethal techniques bearer of a sharp heritage that spanned 14 bloodlines. Her hold was flawless, digit poised for fingers, honed to lethal precision by blade masters, clenched with fierce intensity. Fury blazed within, a searing inferno matching the desert's heat. A guttural snarl, enough to terrify any desert predator, ripped from her throat as she unleashed a devastating strike. Yet, defying all expectations, the human reacted with an uncanny grace. Not a frantic, desperate struggle, but a nearly imperceptible adjustment that somehow neutralized her assault. Her wrist buckled, her legendary grip weakened, and the ancestral blade, stained with countless battles, escaped her grasp like liquid. The dagger plunged, settling into the dunes with a hushed sigh, its elaborate hilt jutting skyward like a solemn marker. Solaria gazed at her barren hand, utterly stunned. He slowly rose, dusting sand from his tattered shirt. "Didn't I tell you?" he remarked, that infuriating smirk dancing on his lips. Never, in her 23 years, had she relinquished her hold on a blade. It was unthinkable, mortifying. The words spilled from her lips, a desperate plea to long-abandoned deities. The human, Alex, the one from the bounty notice, casually reached for his water flask. "Do you mind if I indulge? Desserts have a knack for turning philosophical inquiry into parched labor," he quipped. She should have snatched her blade, choked him savagely, detonated her plasma charges, ending this farce decisively. Instead, she nodded, stunned. Alex drank deeply, throat pulsing. Lowering the canteen, amusement faded, replaced by sharp curiosity. "You truly desire the truth. Tell me." The words escaped as a sharp command, yet Solaria detected the undercurrent of desperation in her own tone. "Your grip is technically flawless," Alex remarked, leaning back against a boulder with the nonchalant ease of a meteorologist. Textbook execution. My guess is you've been honing this since infancy. Since I could wield steel, she conceded, loathing her own compliance. I suspected as much. You've mastered the forms, the ingrained muscle memory. However, you're gripping it like someone unfamiliar with the terror of disarming. His piercing gray eyes scrutinized her, an intense examination that sent shivers down her spine. The issue is, the instant you believe something is unlosable, it's already slipped through your fingers. The perplexing philosophy baffled Solaria, yet the demonstration proved irrefutable. She retrieved her dagger from the sand, scrutinizing the blade for imperfections. The meteoric iron remained pristine, its edge still razor-sharp. Assuming the seventh stance, perfected for lethal close-range combat, she raised the weapon, her voice firm. "Reiterate the demonstration." Alex demurred. "Nah, once was sufficient to underscore my point." Solaria's tone hardened. "Show me," erupted as a thunderous bellow reverberating through the canyon's embrace, yet Alex remained unperturbed. "And I resolutely declined," he stated, brushing dust from his trousers with infuriating composure. "You lack the readiness for instruction. You're merely incensed that your prized possession suffered damage." Before Solaria could retort, he strode away, venturing deeper into the canyon with the unwavering stride of one possessing unwavering purpose. She observed his departure, her grasp constricting upon the dagger's hilt until her knuckles bleached bone white. She pursued his imprints in the sand, his gaze never faltering. The Crimson Hunt amphitheater ascended from the primeval bedrock. Skullidorn's ramparts resonated with the cadence of steel as fledgling hunters honed their lethal skills. Solaria strode through the grand gate, her posture erect despite the stinging defeat that corroded her heart. Warriors paused their drills, their gaze fixed on her, anticipation giving way to perplexity as they registered her bare hands and travel-worn appearance. She bore no prize, no tangible evidence of a successful hunt. By the time she reached the central hall, the news had already circulated. The matron awaited her upon the judgment seat, a throne sculpted from ancient bone, sculpted from eons smoothed obsidian, surrounded by a crescent of the clan's foremost hunters displaying their hard-won prizes. The matriarch reigned. Aged beyond measure, her verdant hide bore the inscribed saga of legendary hunts. Though time had faded the vibrant fire of her predator's gaze, an unnerving intensity remained, capable of chilling the blood of even the most fearless warriors. Solaria, the Crimson Hunt incarnate. The matron's voice reverberated, sharp as a viper's strike. "You were charged with delivering the head of the human mercenary who violated our hallowed hunting grounds. Where is your prize?" Silence descended, absolute and heavy. Solaria felt the scrutiny, the barely veiled contempt of her rivals. Katara, her lifelong adversary, smirked, her expression keen and deadly. "I engaged the target," Solaria stated, her voice unwavering amidst the turmoil. "In her heart, yet I made no claim upon him." A collective gasp of astonishment rippled through the gathered hunters. The matron lifted a taloned hand, and silence crashed down like a thunderclap. "You made no claim," the matron reiterated, her voice laced with chilling softness. "Elaborate." How could she articulate the canyon's events? How to verbalize that instant her conviction shattered when all her lessons of prowess and aptitude proved woefully inadequate? "He fled," she uttered at last, the deception acrid on her tongue. Keith's mirth erupted, resembling a soaring bird's lament escaped from Solaria. "The swift Solaria, undone?" Her tone oozed false astonishment. "Silence!" The matron's decree reverberated, her icy gaze locked on Solaria. "You disgrace yourself and your ancestry with this debacle." The matron's voice lashed out. "For 14 generations your lineage has brought honor to the Crimson Hunt, entrusted with a solitary mission. You've shamefully returned empty-handed." The ceremonial staff echoes thrice. "Solaria, of the Crimson Hunt, you are banished. Reappear only bearing your quarry's head or one worthy to replace your own." Solaria vanished into the desert, her banishment a funeral pyre at her heels. 3 days later, she discovered him nestled within the ruins of an age-old way station. Its decaying walls whispered tales of a lost civilization. Alex rested in the shadow of a shattered archway, meticulously cleaning A. The battered plasma rifle, a veteran of countless battles, lay across his lap. He didn't glance up as she neared, remaining oblivious until she was within striking distance. "You're tardier than anticipated," he remarked casually, eyes glued to his weapon. "Assumed you'd have scurried back before sunset." Solaria's hand lingered on her dagger's hilt, yet she refrained from drawing it. The canyon's humiliation remained raw, each heartbeat a painful reminder. "Why didn't you end me when you could? The same reason you hesitate now. Curiosity outweighs vengeance. Instruct me in your craft. Reveal how you shattered my control." Alex chuckled. "That lesson is beyond your grasp. When you're prepared to concede your knowledge may be flawed, seek me out." He turned to leave, but Solaria's voice arrested him. "Where do you intend to go?" "South. There's a trading post." "Approximately 3 days hence from this location, I anticipate replenishing my resources and perhaps securing passage away from this celestial body before your superiors elect to dispatch a more capable operative to apprehend me." The nonchalant affront should have ignited her fury, yet Solaria discovered herself strangely captivated by his sheer impudence. "I am accompanying you." Alex pivoted, his countenance etched with incredulity. "Absolutely not. You asserted that I necessitate both time and experience. I can procure both by shadowing you. And what leads you to believe I desire companionship, particularly the companionship of an individual contracted to terminate my existence?" Solaria sustained his unwavering stare. "Because you possessed the opportunity to eliminate me 3 days prior, and you deliberately refrained from doing so. You could have ended me, and you didn't. Regardless of your reasons, you don't desire my demise." Alex scrutinized her intensely, then chuckled. "Either immensely brave or remarkably foolish." "I'm an exile," Solaria stated plainly. "What does it truly matter?" "Agreed, but we proceed as I dictate. Follow my direction, and let's forego any discussions of honor or tradition." Every instinct screamed in protest, yet Solaria conceded with a nod. Alex hoisted his pack, setting off with purpose. "Let's move, kid, and keep that blade put away unless I say so. Your grip telegraphs your fighter profile." "Oh, and what profile is that?" Alex's smile cut like a honed edge, the kind that stared down fear and laughed. They advanced in silence, Alex's relaxed stride belying his constant vigilance. Solaria found herself observing him intently, battle-scarred, seasoned, undeniably lethal, but with an uncanny attentiveness that absorbed every detail. "You're fixated," Alex remarked, eyes forward. "I'm analyzing. Elaborate. What do you perceive? Solaria pressed. Your weight distribution favors your right. You scan your surroundings vigilantly roughly every half minute. Cautious, yet not consumed by paranoia. You anticipate adversity, but haven't succumbed to dread. Now I detect a shift. You're discerning that apprehension and outright fear are distinct entities. Is that why you weren't terrified of me in the chasm? I was apprehensive, Alex countered, startling her. I feared what you embodied. Unwavering confidence, unwavering belief. Those are the gravest perils of the cosmos. Before Solaria could inquire further, Alex halted abruptly, raising a hand. Instantly she stilled, her awareness expanding instinctively. There, the nearly imperceptible drone of repulsor engines intensified. Raiders, Alex breathed, already seeking refuge behind a neighboring rock formation. 3, possibly 4 vehicles, advancing rapidly. Instinct propelled Solaria's hand towards her dagger, but Alex seized her wrist. Hold it. Survival rule numero uno. Avoid conflict unless absolutely necessary. Rule numero dos, and this is crucial. If you must engage, ensure total victory. They hunkered down behind the boulders as Raider vehicles surged over the adjacent ridge, their engines wailing like tormented spirits. The contraptions were Frankensteinian creations of salvaged components, part speeder, part tank, pure terror. Weaponry sprouted from every conceivable point, and their operators appeared to be pieced together from the same chaotic scrap heap. Ruthless ideology. Pirates. Alex distinguished his tense voice, seemingly exploiting trade lanes, spanning from here to distant settlements ominous for us. Why? Because equipped with advanced thermal sensors, they can detect heat signatures across vast distances. They've undoubtedly spotted us, as if on cue. The leading vehicle abruptly veered, moving straight towards their location. The others mirrored, deploying into a standard pursuit pattern that would nullify any escape attempt. Then we engage, Solaria stated, unsheathing her weapon, not head-on. Alex's direction veiled hers, softly guiding the blade back into its scabbard. Observe and assimilate. The marauders surged nearer, their transports churning up dust clouds that veiled the wasteland like a tempest. Solaria now discerned their countenances, etched with scars, savage, ravenous for carnage. She tallied at least a dozen combatants arrayed across 4 vehicles, each bristling with ordnance capable of atomizing a person. Alex arose. Solaria gawked at him, incredulous, as he emerged from concealment, his hands elevated in a gesture of ostensible capitulation. The marauders instantly noticed him, their vehicles decelerating. As they drew closer, the leader, a colossal figure with a visage more machine than man, descended and advanced menacingly, a plasma caster casually gripped in his enormous hand. Well, well, the Raider leader rasped, his voice like the scrape of metal. Look what we've got here. Seems someone's terribly misplaced. Hopelessly adrift, Alex concurred affably. Morrison here, freelance salvager, just charting a course to Broken Spine's trading hub. Morrison, eh? The Raider's enhanced eyes pulsed, scanning intently. You're ghosting our databases, Morrison. Alex chuckled wryly. I invest to maintain a low profile, friend. A man's gotta earn, right? The Raider's laugh shattered the air. Oh, you'll provide for us handsomely. You and that alluring emerald trinket concealed yonder. Solaria stiffened, poised to strike. Alex's tone remained casual. Now there's a potential snag. Sharing isn't exactly her forte. She may adapt, but the issue is, Alex subtly adjusted his stance, weight shifting forward. I'm not inclined to teach. In under 3 seconds, Alex exploded into action, incapacitating the raider leader with a lightning-fast nerve pinch and disappearing behind his vehicle, fingers already probing the maintenance panel. Every, even a wrecked car has its uses, he declared. Those clamps are always flimsy. The vehicle erupted in a shower of sparks and shrapnel. Alex danced through the remaining raiders, deflecting an axe with fluid grace and slamming its wielder into the dirt. He then kicked sand into another's plasma rifle, causing a spectacular malfunction. Adapt, Alex roared. The world is your weapon. Solara awakened to the desert's true nature, not merely a battleground, but a potent weapon. Sand became blinding veils. Rocks offered sanctuary or served as forceful projectiles, and the sun's glare became a tactical advantage. She moved with newfound grace, wielding these elements as extensions of her will. When a raider pressed her against a boulder, she elegantly evaded his assault, redirecting his force into the unyielding stone. Faced with suppressing fire, she brilliantly utilized a wrecked vehicle's reflective surface to disorient her foe, before swiftly eliminating the threat. The clash concluded swiftly. The surviving raiders scattered in their remaining vehicles, abandoning their dead and injured. Solaria stood amidst the devastation, her blade immaculate despite the carnage, breathing deeply but invigorated. Impressive, Alex remarked, examining one of the fallen foes for valuable items. You're evolving, strategizing instead of merely reacting. Was that your intention in the canyon? Alex paused his search, his expression pensive. Partly. You're beginning to perceive the broader context, rather than fixating solely on immediate details. Pinpointing your objective is paramount. Next, grasp the profound reasons fueling your fight. Alex cradled a salvaged water recycler, urging, "Let's move, before reinforcements arrive." Rocky terrain yielded to scorching sands. She and him taught me lateral thinking, he elaborated, seeking respite in the shadow of a shattered comm tower. Outnumbered tenfold, conventional warfare is suicide. Emulate water, exploit weaknesses, bypass barriers, and strike at undefended points. But you were a soldier, Solaria. You mentioned rigorous training, a structured approach. How does that diverge from my own experience? And your sister, Solaria? He paused. Solaria averted her gaze. I'd rather not discuss her. Let me tell you about my squad. For 3 years, we were unparalleled. 7 deployments, flawless record. Then pride blinded me. I held a position when prudence dictated retreat. I got them killed. I was too arrogant to acknowledge the wisdom of tactical withdrawal. Recognition, laced with sorrow, flickered within Solaria. My sister Vara was destined to inherit our mother's ancestral blade. During a clan conflict, she bravely accepted single combat, yet faltered at. Driven by the need to establish dominance, the assassin initially toyed with her prey. Feigning vulnerability, the adversary seized the opportunity to strike when compassion trumped triumph. So you've been striving to prove you're immune to her errors, but floundering terribly. Alex gazed at the celestial tapestry splashed across the arid expanse. Solaria mirrored his observation. You mortals always fixate on stars. No, Alex responded softly. Only the exceptional ones. Good. That's your first sincere statement. Alex rose. You're engaged in a misguided conflict, so consumed with being deserving of your sister's legacy that you've neglected to contemplate if that legacy is truly worthy of the person you're destined to be. Before Solaria could retort, Alex was on his feet, pack slung over his shoulder. "Let's move. We've got 2 precious hours of daylight left, and I'm aiming to hit that trading post before those scavengers strip it clean." They advanced in companionable quiet, Solaria's thoughts buzzing with fresh prospects. The arid landscape morphed as they neared civilization, transforming from sporadic wreckage to dispersed encampments, culminating in a vast labyrinth of makeshift dwellings encircling the trading hub. Posts festered like a chrome disease, a shattered spine splayed around a wrecked freighter. Its fractured remains formed the main thoroughfare where star-lost souls bartered for transit. Alex navigated the throng with seasoned grace, but Solaria felt swallowed by the crush and babel of tongues. Humans jostled with species beyond her comprehension, their forms ranging from strikingly exotic to otherworldly. "Keep near," Alex breathed, his hand light on his weapon. "These hubs devour the unwary." Staying in a hostel, generously a slight upgrade from desert camping, featuring 2 beds, a temperamental water recycler, and paper-thin walls, providing minimal privacy. Yet it was shelter, and after days battling the scorching heat, Solaria was profoundly grateful for such humble solace. "Tomorrow we secure transport," Alex declared, collapsing onto his bed with an exhausted sigh. "There's bound to be a freight captain open to passengers." Presuming they aren't overly concerned with their destination, and following Solaria's request, we'll part ways. I'll seek employment, and you? Well, you'll determine what transpires post-exile. The nonchalant dismissal resonated more painfully than Solaria anticipated. In recent days, she'd become accustomed to Alex's unwavering presence, his understated assurance, and his knack for questioning her beliefs without belittling her. The prospect of reverting to isolation, to the relentless pursuit that had characterized her life, suddenly felt intolerable. "What if I prefer not to go our separate ways?" Alex paused, rifle cleaning suspended, face a mask. "What exactly are you proposing? You said I require time, experience, to travel with you, to learn your combat skills, your strategic thinking, your broader perspectives. I'm not seeking partnership, simply mentorship. I wish to be your student." He carefully placed his rifle down, gray eyes scrutinizing her with a piercing intensity she now knew well. "And what benefit do I derive from this bargain?" The query threw Solaria entirely off balance in her clan. Knowledge was bequeathed through lineage and structured mentorships. The notion of bargaining for tutelage was unfathomable to her. "My demand, a truthful response. I yearn to grasp why a distinguished alien combatant is so ardently seeking wisdom from a spent human mercenary, to the point of forsaking her very existence." The truth lodged in Solaria's throat, an immense and uneven obstruction, both unswallowable and unutterable. Yet Alex remained, possessing the seasoned calmness only silence can instill. And finally, the words emerged. "Because everything familiar has deserted me. My training, customs, and my very definition of strength, all shattered the instant you revealed my flawed swordsmanship. Now I crave guidance. I must discover my true self, unbound by ancestral expectations." Alex nodded, a confirmation of his suspicions. "Very well, I shall guide you. But this will be thorough. No shortcuts, no premature assumptions, and no return to your past until you are truly ready. How will..." "I'll recognize the moment." Alex's smile was mysterious. "You'll realize it." The ensuing weeks dissolved into dedication and dawning comprehension. Alex meticulously deconstructed her combat knowledge, reconstructing it from the ground up. He instructed her in discerning subtle cues, perceiving combat as a fluid exchange where each action posed a question and offered a response. Everyone carries a narrative, he elucidated during practice. Their movements, respiration, weapon grip, all revealing their essence and vulnerabilities. Solaria began to perceive beyond the immediate danger, grasping combat as a dialogue between adversaries, a strategic discourse. Each action was a query and a response. She grew to admire Alex's efficient combat style, how he precisely measured force, never overextending in attacks. Yet the hardest lessons transcended mere combat, forcing her to challenge the bedrock assumptions that sculpted her perception of the world. "What fuels your fight?" Alex pondered one night, sharing meager rations by a flickering fire. "To safeguard my community, to safeguard my integrity, to validate my essence. Extrinsic drives, all. I implore you, delve within. Divest yourself of clan mandates, ancestral burdens, the compulsion for external validation. Why, Solaria, do you elect to wage war?" This query plagued her, etching itself onto her soul during countless nights and ceaseless journeys. She relentlessly scrutinized her past, seeking that pivotal instant when bloodshed morphed into second nature. Was agency ever truly hers, or was she merely swept along? The path etched by her lineage offered no respite for contemplation, never pausing to question if her heart truly aligned. The revelation struck amidst a brutal clash with opportunistic scavengers attempting to seize their salvage claim. Solaria confronted a trio of aggressors, their plasma firestorm threatening devastation. Yet instead of adhering to dispassionate tactical doctrine, a surge of primal protectiveness ignited within her, an unwavering shield for Alex, who was vulnerable, caught in the crossfire. She flowed through their assaults like liquid. Employing their aggression strategically, her strike was marked by accuracy, not brutality, prioritizing incapacitation over fatality. 2 claim jumpers escaped, aiding their injured ally to safety rather than prolonging a battle they were destined to lose. "You showed restraint," Alex noted, as they gathered their dispersed gear. "They weren't aiming for lethal force," Solaria responded, "merely intending to deter us. Eliminating them seemed excessive for that." Alex's smile was a genuine warmth, a departure from his characteristic sardonic grin, and profoundly authentic. "You're grasping the nuances between resilience and brutality." As seasons shifted, Solaria perceived the cosmos anew, cherishing the intricate tapestry of ethics. Context, she realized, could morph champions into adversaries, and back again. She observed Alex skillfully de-escalate potentially lethal confrontations, generously assist unfamiliar faces with no promise of reciprocation, and perform humble acts of clemency towards foes who, moments earlier, sought their demise. "Compassion isn't vulnerability, isn't weakness," he confided, sensing her unease about aiding injured raiders. "It's profound strength, empowering others selflessly." Returning home, though, would shatter her. A courier, handsomely paid, located Solaria in the neutral zone, bearing a Crimson Hunt missive, brief and ominous. The clan had been agonizing for months following Solaria's departure, a virulent corruption infiltrating its leadership. The matron had begun executing hunters based on whispers and spiteful vendettas. Time-honored alliances shattered, age-old enemies unified against them, and their society teetered on the brink of collapse. "They require my presence," Solaria murmured, a storm of emotions swirling within her as she fixated on the message. Or perhaps, Alex countered, they simply require a scapegoat when the inevitable occurs. It was a valid point, one that Solaria couldn't definitively refute. She devoured the anguished pleas of hunters she'd known since childhood, compelled by duty not to the clan's rulers, but to those who'd face devastation if the Crimson Hunt crumbled. I must return. Alex nodded, unsurprised. Then we shall return. Did you think I'd forfeit witnessing the climax of this saga? The voyage back spanned 2 weeks, traversing cosmic routes Solaria hadn't navigated since her formative years. Yet upon their descent into her homeworld's atmosphere, the terrain below was almost unrecognizable. The majestic amphitheater, ancestral home to her people, was ravaged by plasma scorches and crumbled ruins. The training fields, where she mastered her initial combat techniques, were desolate, with shattered weapons strewn about. They arrived at a minor port, a few kilometers distant from the clan's fortress. Alex's network furnished them with transport and crucial local insights. The revelations were far more horrifying than the original dispatch indicated. The matron had proclaimed herself the ultimate authority, eradicating any dissenter challenging her escalatingly unpredictable actions. The old order crumbled, traditional laws cast aside, ushering in a dreadful era. Scores have already perished under this regime of fear. Hunters, those who haven't escaped into the unknown, are cornered, paralyzed by terror and the consequences of their silence. A textbook downward spiral, Alex noted, reviewing the data. The regime, losing credibility, intensifies its grip instead of confronting core issues, further diminishing its authority until the entire structure implodes. Can this be averted? It hinges on the remaining sway of the old ways. Do any venerable elders possess the gravitas to contest the matron's dominion? Solaria pondered, meticulously reviewing the clan's hierarchical structure. There's the Council of Mothers, the matriarchs representing prominent lineages, yet they've consistently yielded to the matron regarding legal and traditional matters. Then we must furnish them with a compelling incentive to reconsider their deference. Under the cloak of night, they stealthily approached the clan's fortress, employing the infiltration and concealment techniques Alex had imparted to Solaria. Surprisingly, the number of guards was diminished, and those present seemed preoccupied, their vigilance noticeably lax. Watching for internal enemies instead of external dangers, the initial glimpse of the deteriorated situation surfaced upon reaching the outer chambers. The walls previously adorned with trophies from victorious hunts now exhibited the severed heads of clan members executed for perceived treason. Solaria recognized numerous individuals, hunters she mentored, revered elders who dared question trivial policy, and even youths innocent of any crime except being born into an undesirable lineage. This is absolute insanity, Solaria muttered, her voice heavy. Horror. This isn't just fear, Alex clarified. It's dread, a terror of forfeited influence, a paralyzing vulnerability of appearing feeble, the crushing shame of owning up to errors. It compels individuals to actions unimaginable in calmer states. They ventured further into the fortress, circumventing primary passageways still monitored by steadfast sentinels. Alex's mastery of covert entry proved invaluable. His instruction in deciphering structural layouts and anticipating security measures enabled their spectral passage through a place meant to be impenetrable. Invincible, the sound of voices guided them to a smaller sacred chamber, where they witnessed a chilling scene that froze Salaria's blood. Cathara was kneeling in the room's core, her hands tied, while the matron loomed over her with an executioner's blade. "You are charged with insurrection," the matron intoned, her voice reverberating against the chamber walls, "of propagating falsehoods and division among the devotees, of challenging the just power of your superiors." Cathar's reply remained bold even in her vulnerable state. "I questioned your insanity, you decrepit hag. There's a stark contrast." The matron's face contorted with fury. "Your lineage terminates with you, you betrayer. Let your demise be a stark warning to any who dare emulate your defiance." Salaria surged forward, but Alex's firm grip restrained her. "Not yet," he murmured. "Unfavorable position. Too many sentinels. No viable exit. This isn't the opportune time. She will be executed. And if you impulsively intervene, you'll suffer the same fate. What benefit would you then provide to anyone?" It was the most arduous lesson Alex had ever imparted to her. The self-control to witness injustice transpire when premature intervention would only exacerbate the situation. Things spiraled downwards. Every fiber of Salaria's being shrieked for intervention, to unleash her blade and cut a swath through the matron's protectors. Yet she steeled herself, choosing calculated thought over raw emotion. The matron hoisted the executioner's blade, its edge shimmering menacingly in the torchlight. But before it could fall, a new voice sliced through the chamber's suffocating tension. "I claim the right of challenge." Salaria advanced to the chamber's core, her blade bared and poised. He revealed fear. "I will bestow upon them a choice." The gathered hunters lapsed into stunned silence. Deciphering the resolution etched in her gaze, she hadn't returned. She'd arrived to revolutionize existence. An age-old, seldom-applied precept permitted a banished hunter to reclaim their destiny via trial by combat. The matron dared not refuse. Doing so would tacitly confess the obsolescence of ancestral customs, an avowal that would dismantle her dominance more devastatingly than outright insurrection. Instead, she deferred to her champion, a colossal warrior whose battle scars chronicled countless savage crusades. "Ash will. Endure my challenge. Let the deities assess your valor by his steel." Vor embodied Salaria's past aspirations. Exceptionally skilled, supremely disciplined, wholly dedicated to clan traditions. He advanced to the chamber's core with automated grace, his weapon gripped with textbook-perfect form. Salaria confronted him across the sandy expanse, her blade firm. Yet assuming her combat posture, she discerned a transformation, the inflexible structures that had. The rigid precepts that once shaped her combat understanding now felt like confining prison walls, rather than empowering tools. "Begin," the matron declared. Vorash launched a swift attack, his blade slicing through the air with textbook precision. Salaria initially parried with familiar clan techniques, but abruptly, everything changed. She began moving like fluid, evading his attacks instead of directly confronting them. When he aimed high, she vanished. When he committed to a fatal thrust, she effortlessly deflected it and launched a counter-offensive. An impossible angle. "By the gods, what dark magic is this?" Vorash exclaimed, recoiling with utter bewilderment etched upon his battle-worn visage. "No magic, simply a superior perspective," Salaria responded, her tone composed amidst their lethal ballet. She then elegantly showcased Alex's teachings, seamlessly integrating the environment into her arsenal. The chamber's flickering torchlight conjured a mesmerizing interplay of illumination and darkness, artfully distorting Vorash's spatial awareness. Even the very sand beneath their boots transformed into a cunning instrument of war. Vorsh's own movements escalated, veering towards blinding speed and disrupting balance. Yet her true strength lay beyond mere technique. She grasped that Vorsh, like herself, was a creation of the very system that honed them. He was trained flawlessly in forms anticipating adversaries would adhere to identical conventions. Confronted by a foe operating under entirely disparate principles, his impeccable technique transformed into a vulnerability. The conclusion arrived abruptly. Vorsh overextended during what was intended to be the conclusive blow. His blade, guided by automated precision, aimed for Solaria's heart. However, she had strategically repositioned herself, defying the anticipated trajectory. Instead, she stood unwavering, her weapon kissing his throat. A silent heartbeat hung heavy, punctuated only by ragged breaths. Then Vash breathed, his voice laced with awe. "How do you wield such power with such effortless grace?" Solaria gazed at her blade, seeing it anew. Her grip wasn't rigid, but fluid, responsive, adaptable. "Because," she whispered, a newfound truth rising within her, "I've conquered the fear of its loss." Delivering the decisive blow tradition dictated, Solaria retreated, lowering her weapon. "I claim victory, but not your demise. You fought with honor, Vores, a quality worth preserving." The gesture sent tremors through the gathered hunters. Sparing a vanquished foe was unheard of, unimaginable, yet undeniably potent. Solaria had proven her dominance in combat, then showcased her sagacity through compassion. The matron's face flushed crimson with fury. "Execute him! The law mandates it." "The law is what we forge," Solaria countered, her voice resonating with newfound authority. "And I choose to forge it thus. Something superior to mere revenge." She pivoted, her voice resonating throughout the hall, reaching every hunter present. "Observe your surroundings. Scrutinize the state of our hallowed customs. We, who formerly battled to safeguard the innocent, now wage wars of annihilation. We, who formerly revered genuine strength, now prostrate ourselves before abject terror." "Heresy!" the matron bellowed. "Seize her! She desecrates our hallowed customs!" Yet the guards remained still. Solaria's display transcended mere combat prowess. It unveiled a novel path to fortitude. "I don't aim to obliterate our heritage," Solaria pressed on, "but to elevate it. Our people's cardinal principle is that might safeguards the vulnerable. When did we forsake that strength devoid of wisdom is mere barbarity?" The hall exploded with impassioned discourse as hunters deliberated her pronouncements. Some demanded her swift demise, but others, in greater numbers than Solaria anticipated, started to concur. The blatant corruption witnessed lately had deeply shaken the clan, leading many to doubt its very essence. Seeing her authority erode, the matron made a last-ditch grab for control. "Guards, I order you to execute this traitor." But the guards, like everyone else, were captivated by Solaria's compelling words. When they remained still, the matron's face contorted in furious desperation. "Then I'll do it myself!" The aged leader lunged, blade drawn, but agent madness had made her movements clumsy, and Solaria, effortlessly evading the assault, the elder matron faltered, her balance failing. Had Solaria not intervened, her fall would have been certain. A fleeting tableau, the youthful exile, steadying the aged leader who had banished her. In that instant, the matron's fury dissolved, supplanted by a nascent sense of remorse. "I've failed," she breathed, her voice a fragile whisper. "I've shattered everything I vowed to safeguard." "Not entirely," Solaria murmured softly. "Not just yet." A voice echoed from the chamber entrance, Alex emerging from the darkness, hands raised in a gesture of peace. "Quite a stirring monologue," he remarked casually, "but you might want to expedite this. Your clan is facing significantly larger issues approaching rapidly." All eyes swung towards him, suspicion and bewilderment battling in the hunters' faces. Solaria felt an icy dread, far colder than the chamber's chill. Sensor sweeps detected 3 battlecruisers emerging from hyperspace approximately 20 minutes prior. Bone Reaper signatures are rapidly approaching. Alex's face tightened. Looks like our foes believe this internecine conflict offers the ideal opportunity to settle long-standing grievances. A wave of stunned disbelief swept the chamber as the ramifications became clear. The Bone Reapers, arch rivals of the Crimson Hunt, a clan renowned for their insatiable ambition, were the scourge of numerous star systems. Their arrival in such numbers signifies only one thing: determined to obliterate Solaria's people completely. "How much time do we have?" Vosh inquired, his previous setback eclipsed by this monumental danger. "Perhaps 2 hours, maybe 3 if fortune favors us," Alex responded, "depending on the duration of their orbital assault before deploying ground troops." The matron composed herself, age and dementia receding as the gravity of the situation pierced her fragmented consciousness. "Then we brace for combat. Alert all hunters. Activate the defensive grid." "With all due respect," Solaria interjected, "that's a disastrous tactic," Solaria exclaimed, every gaze in the hall now fixed on her. Some were enraged, others clung to any escape from imminent annihilation. "The Bone Reapers anticipate a warrior's clash," Solaria continued, her mind ablaze with the strategic pathways unlocked by Alex's tutelage. "They predict a headlong assault, a heroic demise in battle, as they crush us with their overwhelming force and devastating weaponry." "What further strategies can we employ?" Cathar inquired, liberated amidst the chaos. Solaria glanced at Alex, perceiving a shared understanding. "We'll adapt our combat fluidly, like water." Over the ensuing hour, Solaria discovered herself in the peculiar situation of leading the very hunters who had observed her banishment. However, her display of martial prowess and her alert about the looming danger had garnered her a reluctant admiration, and even her erstwhile adversaries were now amenable to heeding her audacious strategy. "Disregard the conventional defensive formations," she proposed. Solaria addressed the council. "The Bone Reapers are aware of their positions and defensive capabilities. Therefore, we won't defend the stronghold. We will strategically disperse throughout the canyon system. To call abandoning our home an act of cowardice is inaccurate," one veteran hunter argued. "We safeguard our people to recapture our home in time," Solaria retorted. Alex added, "The canyons provide superior concealment, multiple escape routes, and terrain which allows superior small unit tactics instead of mass invasions." His proficiency in asymmetric combat proved vital in shaping their strategy. Instead of clashing head-on, their unconventional defense involved artfully evading the enemy's brute force, targeting vulnerabilities, and retreating before the Bone Reapers could effectively unleash their devastating firepower. Hit-and-run tactics, forcing them to fight our war, not theirs, Alex articulated to the assembled hunters. Make every single meter they gain a bloody ordeal. Make them deeply contemplate if this conquest justifies the agonizing cost. Yet the strategy was radical, departing sharply from customary protocols, dismissing every tenet of honor and prestige upheld by the Crimson Hunt, had deeply treasured for eons. Yet as the hunters surveyed the devastated fortress, the execution grounds, and the desolate halls where their brethren once honed their skills, they grasped that conventional methods had utterly failed. The Bone Reaper onslaught unfolded precisely as Alex foresaw. 3 colossal vessels assuming bombardment stances, unleashing plasma infernos upon the stronghold's main defenses, now strategically vacant, their evacuation impeccably synchronized as Solaria observed. Annihilation erupted from the canyon's hidden depths, each explosion a palpable strike. Her ancestral home was being methodically obliterated, centuries of heritage dissolving into debris. Yet witnessing her people's futile, desperate demise would have been an incomparably greater tragedy. First waves inbound, Alex declared, his borrowed sensors charting the enemy's advance. They're focusing all forces on a single assault. Excellent. They underestimate our resilience. The Bone Reapers marched into the fortress, brimming with arrogant assurance. The conquerors, in their dazzling armor and with weapons primed, discovered vacant chambers and deserted posts, their triumph seemingly absolute before the true battle had even commenced. It was at that point that Solaria's forces retaliated. The attacks originated from all directions and from unseen locations. Plasma projectiles launched from concealed emplacements, makeshift explosives detonated remotely, and fleeting assaults that disoriented and weakened the Bone Reaper squads. The invaders were now engaged in combat with an invisible adversary, navigating unfamiliar territory. Solaria spearheaded one of the assault squads. Employing every tactic Alex had instilled in her with unmatched precision, they navigated the canyon system like phantoms, materializing to strike before dissolving into secret passages known only to the Crimson Hunt. Yet the Bone Reapers were seasoned combatants, swiftly adjusting to these unorthodox strategies. Their commander, the formidable Garnash, a brute renowned for victories spanning 3 star systems, commenced dividing his forces into swifter, more adaptable squads, could hunt down the harassing attackers. They're adapting, Alex remarked, observing enemy scouts penetrate further into the canyon system. We must amplify our efforts before they uncover all our concealed positions. Solaria concurred, her mind racing through the concluding stage of their audacious strategy. Signal all teams, initiate the convergence. What ensued was the most intricate military operation the Crimson Hunt had ever executed. Instead of prolonging their guerrilla warfare, all dispersed assault teams commenced converging upon one nexus, the Sacred Grove, where for generations the clan's most sacred rites unfolded. The Bone Reapers, lured in, deployed squads to quash what seemed a massive enemy assembly. Yet at the Grove, surprise awaited. Not a final, frantic defense, but an artful snare. This hallowed ground, a natural theater, featured cavernous walls providing ideal spots for hidden sharpshooters. Above all, it pulsed with Solaria's people's strength, a location imbued with emotional and spiritual significance, transcending its strategic importance. Garnos advanced into the grove, his elite guard flanking him, weapon poised for the ultimate carnage. Instead, he encountered Solaria in the grove's heart, her blade unsheathed. I invoked the ancient rite of single combat, she declared, her voice resonating through the grove's natural amphitheater. "Let champions decide our fate, as tradition dictates." The Bone Reaper commander's laughter echoed, a grating sound like metal on metal. "Think I'm such a fool to uphold these ancient traditions? My soldiers will annihilate you where you stand." "Possibly," Solaria conceded, "but your triumph will forever be tainted by cowardice. Generations will recall Garnash as the conqueror too scared to confront one lone exile in honorable combat." The challenge struck its mark, as Solaria predicted. Garnash had forged his reputation on unmatched skill as much as strategic brilliance. The mere insinuation that he feared any foe, particularly a solitary hunter from a defeated clan, was utterly unacceptable. "Very well. Fine," he hissed, gesturing his warriors to retreat. "I shall obliterate you personally, then obliterate your people at my leisure." The duel was ferocious. Garnash possessed superior strength, velocity, and experience. His swordsmanship was breathtakingly savage. Yet Solaria combated with the fluidity of water, evading his strikes, utilizing his fury against him, and exploiting the grove's rugged landscape to her advantage. "Cease your evasive maneuvers and confront me directly," Garnash bellowed, as his flawless technique failed to connect. "I am indeed engaged in combat," Solaria responded serenely, "merely not in the manner you anticipate." The finale occurred when Garnash overextended on a decisive blow. Solaria was not positioned where he anticipated her to be. Inside his defense, her blade pierced the chink in his armor. The commander crumpled, his weapon clattering away. Rather than deliver the customary death blow, Solaria retreated, her voice ringing across the grove. "Your champion is vanquished. Honor is upheld. Take your vessels and evacuate our territory. Do not return." The silence grew, taut as a drawn bowstring. Then Garnash, his voice laced with pain, yet remarkably distinct, uttered, "Your combat prowess is unparalleled. Never have I encountered such skill. How do you maneuver with such assurance, wielding your blade with such finesse?" Solaria glanced downward at her opponent, weapon beholding her own reflection in its gleaming surface, "because I've discerned the nuances between clinging and embracing, between resilience and inflexibility, between triumph and retribution." She reached a hand to the downed commander, assisting him to stand against the appalled objections of both forces. Today, adversaries. Tomorrow, perhaps allies. Garnash fixed her with a prolonged gaze, then offered a deliberate nod. "Perhaps, but not this day." Turning toward his warriors, his command resonant despite his injuries, he declared, "We withdraw. The conquest is..." Deserted as the Bone Reaper's legions retreated, Solaria discovered solace amidst her kin, seasoned hunters who'd presumed their demise, venerable elders who witnessed their world's collapse, and youthful souls acquainted only with trepidation and doubt. "Where do we go from here?" Voraz inquired. Echoing their collective sentiment, Solaria surveyed the sacred grove, perceiving it anew. This age-old sanctuary, once a mere site for sacred rites, had metamorphosed into an emblem of metamorphosis. "Now we reconstruct," she stated resolutely, "yet we rebuild it stronger." The subsequent weeks proved exceptionally demanding for Solaria. Recovery transcended mere debris removal and structural repair. It necessitated revitalizing the bedrock of their community. The matron had relinquished her position, her fleeting lapse into instability acting as a stark reminder of unchecked authorities' perils. Instead, the Circle of Mothers instituted a novel system of administration, harmonizing time-honored leadership with instruments promoting responsibility and evolution. "Your confidence overwhelms me," she declared to the convened clan. "What's crucial isn't a solitary, potent leader. It's a collective that grasps that genuine strength stems from insight, not brute force. Individuals discerning when confrontation is necessary and when compassion is paramount." She indicated the assembled hunters. "I suggest collaborative leadership, not as sovereign and subordinates, but as allies striving towards shared objectives." The notion was groundbreaking, questioning deeply rooted societal norms, yet the recent devastation had sparked a desire for reform, and Solaria's display of unorthodox wisdom had garnered her the credibility to champion it in the coming months. The novel system crystallized, decisions forged collaboratively, enriched by diverse viewpoints, and a profound focus on enduring impacts. While conventional combat drills persisted, they were amplified with immersive studies in diplomacy, philosophy, and the strategic acuity Alex had pioneered. Speaking of Alex, Solaria discovered him poised for departure on an outer rim-bound transport, his meager belongings stowed in the time-worn duffel bag that had accompanied their entire odyssey. "So you are truly leaving?" she inquired, even though she'd anticipated this inevitable juncture. "My mission concludes," Alex responded, his demeanor gentler than his succinct declaration implied. "You've transcended the need for guidance. Indeed, you have for weeks. What fuels your certainty?" Alex offered a sincere smile, a manifestation she'd come to cherish beyond all others. "Because you've ceased seeking prescribed actions and embarked on a quest for personal aspirations. That demarcation defines the chasm between adherence to a predetermined course and the intrepid navigation of your unique trajectory." They stood shoulder to shoulder in tranquil stillness, observing the transport team's endeavors. "Ready for takeoff," Solaria announced at last. "The lessons you imparted went far beyond mere combat, didn't they?" She paused, contemplating. "What do you believe I gleaned, Solaria?" Alex inquired. Pondering all that had transpired since their initial meeting in the arid canyon, she responded, "You showed me that true strength isn't about avoiding defeat, but about evolving through it, emerging stronger." She paused, then added, "Furthermore, you demonstrated that your handling of a weapon, or anything for that matter, reveals everything about your connection to it. A death grip leads to inflexibility, hindering adaptation. Conversely, a lax hold results in a catastrophic loss of command." Alex offered a smile of approval. "And the most pivotal struggles aren't merely fought with weapons, they're secured by transforming perspectives and ideals, demonstrating a superior path to true strength. You comprehend this, Alex?" Hefting his pack, poised to board the transport. "A final lesson as I depart. The blade you wield, no longer your sister's, nor your forebears, but uniquely yours, molded by your decisions, defined by your application. Do not debase it by forcing it into an alien form." Solaria unsheathed her weapon, feeling its familiar weight, the meteoric iron shimmering. The afternoon sun, its edge still sharp despite all it had weathered, felt profoundly right, impeccably balanced, less a burden passed down, more an extension of her own will. "Thank you," she murmured. But Alex was already striding toward the transport. He halted at the ramp, a sardonic grin playing on his lips. "You'll manage just fine without me. Because of you." He vanished into the transport, his voice echoing back one last time. "Hey kid, now you're wielding it right." Years hence, tales would be spun of Celoria the Wise, a fighter adept at non-violent conflict resolution, a conqueror through empathy, yet Celoria treasured the tale of a human mercenary who revealed to an alien warrior the essence of true strength, knowing when to wield a weapon, and more importantly, when to refrain. Though she never reunited with Alex, tales of his peacemaking endeavors, resolving disputes with wisdom, reached her. On solitary nights, she would unsheathe her blade, practicing the fluid techniques he imparted, transforming combat into a breathtaking dance. Her grasp, impeccable and strong, commands with resilience, yields with grace, and tempers power with compassion.